So I haven't baked cookies for a long time and I really feel like some, so I'm making these M&M cookies that came in a jar. Someone gave them to Mum, but she doesn't, well, she said I can make them. So I'm gonna make them and try them out. So I just have to add an egg, butter and some vanilla, then mix everything together. Should be really easy and quick. So this week I want to talk a bit about identity, because I think one of the sticking points in eating disorder recovery can be the fear of how your identity is going to change when you move away from the eating disorder. Because eating disorders have an influence over so many areas of our lives, like literally pretty much everything, it can really feel like part of our identity, and because it also affects our physical appearance as well, maybe we think it influences how people think of us. So first of all, I can only think about how this applies to myself, really, right? So I'm gonna think about, first of all, my identity during my eating disorder. So okay, so here are some things that maybe identified me or sort of described me, or I thought they described me. I suppose my identity during my eating disorder. So I've drawn a stick figure, which is in no way a representation of body weight or size or shape, just shows that I'm crappy at drawing. So first of all, fitness was a big thing for me. So during my eating disorder, I struggled a lot with compulsive exercise. I went to the gym a lot, very early in the morning usually, pretty much every day. So I guess I thought that that lifestyle sort of was a big part of who I was at that time. So people might have thought of me as a gym bunny, gym rat, I don't know. I mean, when I think about this, like, I wasn't actually fit and I wasn't strong because my body was starving, it was struggling. So I went to the gym, I wasn't gaining muscle, I was losing it because I wasn't eating enough. And it's not like my heart was getting stronger or more efficient. My heart was also growing weaker. After all, your heart is a muscle. So I really wasn't fit in any way at all. And I think healthy eating was another big part of my identity. Like, people would say, oh, you're so good for not eating that. Like, you have so much willpower, blah, 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 blah. But, so I guess, yeah, I felt like that was part of my identity, but it wasn't actually healthy. And now I look back and I'm honestly ashamed of that. At the time, I don't think I felt good about it either, because I knew that I had an eating disorder. There was nothing healthy about what I was doing. It's just that I was scared to eat that food that other people enjoyed eating. It wasn't that it was willpower, it was fear. And it was just an illness, right? Nothing to do with willpower or healthy eating or health in general. There was nothing to do with health, really. I also felt like being thin or being small was a part of my identity as well. Interesting, right? Because it's true that society is generally fat phobic, and people put a lot of, and one of the reasons it's hard to recover is because society is so fat phobic and focused on dieting, and diet culture is so prevalent. So I felt like my body was a really important part of who I was. But in part, that is definitely because of how much time and energy I put in to bodies. Like, I thought about body shape and size a lot. My own body. I noticed other people's bodies. It was a big, like, it just took up a huge chunk of space in my mind. My thoughts were about bodies, and I thought that other people thought about bodies a lot as well. But in reality, they don't. Or if they do, they probably have an eating disorder or some kind of disordered mindset towards eating or bodies. So as I've recovered from my eating disorder, I think way, way less about my body. So I don't feel like it really impacts people's perceptions of me anymore. Having said that, I definitely have thin privilege, and if I was fat, I could totally see that the story would be different. So on one hand, I feel like, so I don't know what I'm getting at here, but I guess I feel like maybe body size and shape does, for some people, have an influence on their perceptions of others. But when you are living with an eating disorder, your perception of how other people perceive you is really skewed. Like, you're going to think that other people think your body size and shape is really important because that's what you think is important. And maybe intellectually you can be like, it's not that important. Like, I know it's not that important. But you're spending all this time and energy trying to make your body smaller, that of course your brain notices bodies and notices these things because your actions don't match up with your intellectualizing, right? Your actions are showing your brain that body size does matter. So that's going to have an impact on how you perceive yourself and how you perceive others. I feel like that didn't really make sense. I did not get that message across as clearly as I wanted to. But basically, if you think the size of your body is a part of your identity, it doesn't have to be. I don't think it has to be. In order to reduce the focus that you feel towards bodies, towards how other people perceive your body, you need to recover. Another two things, so hardworking was probably another part of how people thought of me, because I did work very hard. I wasn't eating, so had to do something else with my time, you know? So this picture is also missing a lot, so I've just written down here, like, I was also lonely, sad, I had health issues, like my skin was dry and itchy, and my heart was not strong, and all kinds of health issues that had occurred because of the major issue, which was my eating disorder. And then I was also very irritable and anxious, and I didn't go out and socialise much. I hated socialising because I felt it interfered with my eating disorder behaviours. So it was not a fun time. But nevertheless, I was really afraid of letting go of my eating disorder because I was afraid that suddenly people would identify me as like having let myself go, lost control because I gained weight, or that they wouldn't think that I was an active person or that I was fit or whatever because you shouldn't do exercise during recovery, at least not for a while. And in healthy eating, I was also scared that people would think I'd lost willpower because people continually praised me for being so good. I was worried about what they would say when I ate foods that I was scared of. Like, what were they gonna say? Like, oh, you're so bad for eating that. And I didn't want to be bad. It's just a weird time. It's such a weird thing to say, honestly. Anyway, so I'm gonna draw what's happened now. Okay, so now that after my eating disorder, I asked a couple of people, a couple of friends, what they think defines me or describes me now. And they said researcher or PhD student and volunteer, do a lot of volunteer work, and advocate, because through my volunteer work I do advocacy work. So honestly, I think these three things are much cooler than being fit or eating healthy or being thin. Like, these are actually meaningful activities and they're meaningful to me, and I would much rather be known for these activities, the things that I do, rather than for how I look or for how I eat or for how often I go to the gym. So, and with friends that I've had from before my eating disorder to during my eating disorder to now, I'm still friends with them. I know that in some cases people create new friendships, move away from old friends. For me, I'm still friends with those people. Impacted our friendship negatively. They never commented on my weight when I gained weight. If anything, it's made our friendship stronger because now I go out with them and I eat food with them, which is a very normal thing to do when you meet with friends. So it's strengthened my friendships. And I think in general, I'm a more friendly person, less irritable, less rigid, that's for sure. Like, I was really scared when I was starting recovery that people didn't like me because I gained weight, because I gained weight, or that I wouldn't be special because I didn't restrict my food. I wasn't the thin person anymore. But the truth is, your eating disorder doesn't make you special. Honestly, a lot of people have eating disorders. It's much more special to recover from an eating disorder and be able to share your story of how you got through recovery and inspire others to do the same, and then to see your life grow and expand in so many ways that you could never have imagined during your eating disorder. It really is not interesting to most people to talk about food and exercise regimes So when you recover, people will probably like you more. And if they don't, you can let them go and make new friends. And making new friends will feel so much easier when you are recovered than during your eating disorder. Okay, I need to prepare for a meeting, so I better go. But basically the take-home message is, if you are worried about losing your eating disorder identity, first of all, it's not an identity to be proud of. It's not an identity at all. It's just an illness that a lot of people have. It is not making you special. And letting go of the eating disorder is going to make your life so much more exciting for you and for other people to be a part of as well. So if you're worried about people thinking, or about how people might think of you, if you're worried about them thinking, oh, like, she gained so much weight, or oh, like, she used to exercise so much and now she doesn't exercise at all. If people say that, let them go, but the people that really care about you, the people that are worth keeping in your life, are not going to say those things. They're not even going to think those things. They're just going to think, oh, wow, it's so cool that we can go out for dinner together now. And, oh, wow, it's so nice that you have energy to go on this hike with me. So, letting go of the identity is not something to be scared of. It's something to be really excited about. Okay, I hope you're keeping well, and I will record again soon. Sending you lots of love. Bye. They did not turn out how I expected, to be honest. Why are they so flat? Crunchy.